All right, we are going to put together a little vocal chain here in the track so far. I'll show you where I'm at with it. I'll break down kind of what the plugins are that I've used. All stock plugins in Logic Pro, so that's pretty awesome. Let's get into it. Let's check out what we got so far. I'm just going to play it. Awesome. So we just got a little rhythm. It's kind of a intro to like a chorus tease to dropping into verse 1. And I'm going to be arranging this right now. And I'm also going to be kind of tweaking, sound designing. But before I do any of that, I want to kind of test vocal stuff on it. So I'm going to build a vocal channel strip right here with you guys. So first thing I'm going to do, obviously, is I'm going to make a vocal channel, right? So I'm going to come in on input 1. Let's make that channel. And we'll call this vocals. You can always start with the Logic Pro pack. You can always start with anything like a channel strip, right? So we'll go in here and we'll just start with something. So we have a starting point. And I do that all the time with vocals. I'll start with a preset channel strip that I already know sounds good on my vocals or that I've tweaked, or something from the Logic Pro pack. And then I can tweak that around what I'm trying to do with this song specifically. So that's a little cheat code there. So what we'll do is we'll go into the Radium producer pack and we'll grab a vocal strip. So let's go with probably like a vocal, like a pop vocal. Yeah, let's go like pop vocal. There's so many. So vocal pop, airy, R&B silk, extra crispy, smooth and fat. That's rap. And then let's go with the pop in your face, because I really like this one. It's a great starting point as well. Okay, and what we'll do here is first of all, I'm just gonna change my latency so that I can make sure that I'm hearing things right away as I sing, and I'm not getting any delay. We're at 64 samples, so that's fast, right? So now we just turn on the input and get our headphones on. And we should be able to hear the vocal when we engage the input here. Check. There you go. Really loud. So we'll bring it down. And I do like the reverb. I'm going to turn the low latency mode on. And you can see all it did was bypass the console EQ. So when I turn the low latency mode on, check. On and off. So you could track through this and then you could tweak later, or you could tweak and then track through it. But I think this is sounding great. So let's go in here and let's make sure that we bring some of this body back up, because I kind of want more of that body. Because we're going for like a smooth kind of indie. Yeah, we'll get into it. All right, let's check this out. And I do have some pretty crazy latency, but I think it's because I'm streaming. So I'm going to switch back to the card, and I'm going to record my vocal, and then I'll let you guys hear it after I've recorded it, because this is going to be really hard to track live like this. And I'm just going to come up with some vocal phrases. I'm going to come up with some ideas, some melodies, things that I think's, right off the top. I want to come right off the top with it. So now you're not hearing me through Logic, you're only hearing me through the Ecamm software right here, right? So right now I want to just kind of dive into this. So first of all, this has an EQ on it. It's kind of cleaning up a little bit of lows, mids, etc. We have a compressor. We actually have 3 compressors, and they're all doing a little bit of work, is basically how this works. So this one's a little bit faster on the attack, and it's hey, check. So that one's hitting pretty hard, like almost 5 dB. This one's hitting a little bit harder as well. So you can always pull down the ratio if you don't want to compress as hard. But because this is a vocal, male pop in your face vocal, we use a lot of compression on it. So you can always back it off and say, no, I don't want to compress that hard. I want it to be more in the background and not in your face as much. That's a really good way to make it less in your face. It's just basically go in here and compress less and less. Here you go. Check, 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 check. And then you want to make up the gain for anything that's coming out too hard, right? And then it goes into a spreader, the console EQ as well. Let's kind of bypass this in. Here's the console EQ, and this is just taming down 360 hertz, and then yeah, that's about it. And then a little high gain, which I'm going to take down a little bit because this is more of an indie track and not as pop. And I'm also going to take down this output here because we're trying to make up for gain. Okay, and then we have the spreader here, which is just giving it a little bit of width. So it's just very little bit of width, so it fattens out that vocal. And then the tape delay, which is giving a nice little, just a little tiny splash. So here's, like if we crank that up, you're gonna hear more of the splash, which sounds really cool. And you'll hear it once I record it. And then the last thing is the silver verb. So this is a room verb. And we're just gonna take this down a little bit too. Check, 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 check. And when you take the dry up and down on the plugin, you actually are kind of bringing the vocal forward or back. So if I take the dry down, it puts the vocal back in the background. Like it pushes it back in the mix. So this is a really cool thing about the Logic Pro plugins, is it's almost like when I go less dry, I get more of just the wet, which is awesome because it's like, it pushes way back in the mix. And I'll show that to you as well. But right now we're gonna keep it like here. And we're gonna go, hey, check, check, check. And I'm just adjusting it. You're not hearing what I'm hearing, but we're gonna get to that. Okay, so now let's record some vocal passes. And you're not gonna hear anything when I do this. Awesome. Now you get to hear my my mumbling after I just cut the record here. These are just ideas. These are melodies, but this is how I kind of get I start to arrange my record, right? It really helps me arrange because the ideas for the vocal line or the melody, the top line, it kind of leads you to the next thing, right? And what you might want to do with the chords and where you might want to go down or up, etc. So let me take this back out the Ecamm card and let you hear this. Excuse me. We'll also I'll show you what this this chain is doing and how we can adjust it. So here we go. Here's what I just recorded. So these are stream of conscious kind of ideas, and I want you guys to get used to that as you're writing songs and producing. You have to let that first initial thing come out and just like dance and groove to the song, because it's really going to show you little pockets. It's going to show you things that like, oh, that's really dope. That's kind of initial ideas. And they may not stick. Sometimes you want to put the initial idea down and then you want to try to beat it every time, right? So I want to show you a little bit more about this vocal chain, and then I want to show you how I'm going to start arranging this stuff, because that's all I do. I cut that vocal just so I can start to come up with arrangement ideas. For example, this very first part was my initial coming into the chorus, but this part, when I actually came into the chorus from the pre, so much better, like so much more musical, and I found a really cool pocket. So I'm going to copy and paste that. Okay, so now I have like a another thing. It's kind of pitchy, yeah? Like obviously it's not the best pitch. So let's throw a tune on here. So how do you find the tune? That's a very, very good question, right? So we go in here. The first thing, we always want to have the tune. I typically will have it after the EQ if I'm cutting, or before the EQ if I'm like boosting and doing other stuff. But typically my first EQ is just cutting. So I'll put the tune after the first EQ, okay? So Logic has a built-in tune, which is great. Helps us a lot. We'll just go to pitch correction and we can use this guy. And we want to really pay attention to the key of the song. I typically just figure it out by ear, but you can definitely, there's a lot of tools to figure out the key, right? For example, you can make a bounce, and then there's mixed in key. If you go to like Google, just literally go here and go mixed in key. And then you can find through this software, which is just a DJ software. This is a really great software to just drag and drop. It'll tell you the key, the BPM, all that kind of stuff. So that's a really cool tool. And I'm sure there's probably like a lot of different like just free plugins as well. Like free key, music key finder. You know what I mean? Just song key finder, get song key. There you go. And you can literally like click and drop your files here. So here's a really easy way to do it. I don't know if I trust this kind of stuff just because it's like you're uploading your music to the internet, but because I'm kind of in a demo phase with this, why not? Just to show you guys kind of how it works. Let's grab this phrase, and it could literally just be a loop, right? Like, so let's just do like up to here or something, right? And we'll hit option B. We'll bounce this out. And we'll make it just an MP3. I think that's all it'll need. Hit OK, and then there you go. And then we'll bounce this. And then we can try and just drag and drop it in, right? So here is the file here in bounces. And we'll go to the MP3 we just bounced, which is right here. I'll just drag it in. And this is pretty cool because it's just going to process it, and it's going to spit out a key and a BPM and all that stuff. So let's see how good it does. So it says C# minor, key of C# minor, and let's give it a shot. There you go. Simple. Getsongkey.com. Or you could literally just Google song key, whatever, find my song key or something software. Okay, so C# minor. So let's just try it on the pitch correction and let's see how good it did. See how well it did. Let's go to minor, just natural minor scale. There we go. And we'll go to C sharp. There you go. And then you have the response time, which is how fast it reacts to the tune. You also have normal or low. So if you have like normal, you're probably going to be in like the normal tenor range, maybe even soprano. Low is going to be like, yeah, I'm bad, da da da, right? And then you can reference the octave, all that stuff once you go. I think if you turn on different stuff, you can access this reference pitch and everything. But for now, what we want to do is we want to do this, and then you can also tune it up and down, which is a really cool effect if you want to make a double and then you want to make a harmony stack or something. And I'll show you how that works as well. So let's check this out with like a response of, I don't know. I usually am like around 20 to 30 milliseconds. Somewhere around there sounds pretty natural to me. And we'll watch this and make sure that it did it right. Yeah, so that's it, right? Like very, very simple. It's a very simple tuning thing to do. And you can see that correction amount. You can bypass different stuff by just clicking it. A lot like Auto-Tune EFX. So there you go. Stock plugin. Again, like just turn your tune on, put it first or second in your chain. A lot of people like it first in the chain. It's up to you. So there we go. So now let's start to arrange this. And let's also rename this strip, right? So now that we have a tune on it, I'm actually going to bypass the tune. I'm going to have it turned off so that when someone gets this chain, they could do whatever they want with it. And they could turn the tune on and put the key in or whatever. But let's go like this and let's go save channel strip as. So all you do is just go here, bam. And we will call this one RM, let's say like indie pop vox. 1, right? And we'll save it in the tracks folder under the vocals or the Radium producer pack, and we'll throw it under the vocal strips. And I'll upload this for you guys. If you have the Logic Pro pack, you'll have this as well. Bada bam. So just a couple little tweaks and you got a whole new thing, right? So a big thing with this is the tape delay. So I'll let you hear this. This is what makes it really indie to me. And then I'll show you what you can do with the verb to push that vocal back a little bit. Perfect. I love it. I think it's super dope. So now let's take this and let's start to arrange this because that's what we're doing today. So let's arrange this. Let's hit intro here. Oh, here's another thing. I accidentally hit the arrangement button I hate this. I do not want to use arrangement. I want to use just markers. Arrangement is typically for like the drummer track, right? It's like a global drummer track arrangement thing, and I just don't like it. It fucks me up. So let's go intro, and then the intro might get smaller, but for now we're just going to do this. And we're going to say chorus T's, and then we're going to say verse 1. This is the boring part, right? Is like labeling all this stuff. Going into pre-chorus 1, right? Pre-chorus. You can also just drag. You can option drag these. Option drag, bam. For example, I have the chorus already. Go bam, copy that over, and there you go. Now you got the chorus, and you could just delete T's, right? Chorus 1. Okay, so now we got chorus 1. So now we're going intro, chorus T's, verse 1, pre-chorus, chorus 1. So let's say pre-chorus 1, just so we can keep that nomenclature right. And then let's go into verse 2, right? Or let's do, you could even do a reprise where you have, at the end, it just like has like a little fall off. Which I love those kind of things for this style of track. So let's put that out. Let's start to arrange that out. So sometimes here I just do like a little drum pickup, a drum fill, anything like that is going to help this kind of get to the next section. So we'll use this retro rock kit and we'll just do a very simple filler thing here so we can have it. So this is like a triplet feel, do-do-do-do-dun-do, you know? So we'll go in here and we will change that to triplet. Let's go 16th note triplet, bam, and do-do-do-doom-doom-doom, right? So almost like it slows down, which would be really cool. If you want to see your grid in triplets, just go up here. You're going to go to 24ths, or you could do 12ths, or you could do 40, well, 48's not really a triplet here, but I guess it is, right? 16, 32. No. Okay, so yeah, 96 I think is a triplet. So we want a 12th, 24. Those are triplets. Anything in sixes, right? 3s, 6, 9, 12. So let's do 20. It looks like we're on 12, but let's do 24 because we got this guy right here. So let's check this out. Goo, goo. Right, so goo, do. And you might want to change that there and then put that there. Let me see. Do. So let's go down. Yeah, okay, that's fine for now because we're going to come right back in there. And I'm just having a little filler there just so I can have something. It's like a bookmark, right? And then we'll go to verse 2, which is a simple copy and paste, and maybe we're changing some things, right? So let's bring the whole verse 2 pre-chorus over. We're going to copy and paste that over. There you go. Awesome, I love that. And if we want to start to arrange this so that it sounds more interesting, we want to duplicate this bright strings and make this chord itself. It needs to change in tonality. I think it could probably be a little bit darker, right? Actually, maybe a lot darker. I don't know yet. And then this retro synth, I want this filter envelope to be different. So I want it to go like almost like it's, you know, it's gradually coming open, which you're going to get out of the filter and the amp envelope on any analog synth, right? So let's check that out. So a very simple way to do this is probably to use a preset, right? And then tweak a preset that's closer. But just to explain what I did there, I turned the LFO into a ramp, right? So it's like a triangle kind of ramp up. And then I turned the sync on so it's at 1 bar because that's what we're doing. We're doing this transition for 1 bar. And then I am using that modulation for like an LFO modulation. So you can turn this to the LFO shape or the filter envelope. So if I turn it more to the LFO, it's going to do this, right? It's going to vibrato at that pace. The LFO is going to open at that rate at 1 bar. So that's going to sound like this. And that way you have that climb for 1 bar and then, right? And then you have the filter envelope, which is this guy here. You can use this filter envelope for the shape as well. So let's say you wanted to set that, you know, however you want to set that. Oh, I want it to attack at this time, and I want it to decay at this time and release at this time, etc. Then you could go full filter envelope on that. And then you have the vibrato, which is just giving it a vibrato at a certain semitone. So I'm going at like 0.27, which is just giving it a little bit of fluctuation. Change the shape a little bit. You got filters here where you can use the envelope as your filter, or you could just have a static filter that's here. You could turn the LFO up to be the filter shape here on the LFO, which could be a really good way to make it move a little bit more as well. So let's try doing the envelope and the LFO, and let's just check it out. So that's a very, very easy way to kind of make your synth move a little bit on transitions. And I love using those little tools. And you got to think like analog synths, they are designed to have a bunch of different things in the path where you can shape the sound. That's all we're doing. We're just shaping the sound and telling it how to shape the sound. So it's nothing crazy. Like it's very, very basic once you understand synthesis, but definitely study up a little bit on synthesis. It'll help you a lot with production. So that's pretty cool. That's getting there. One thing we want to do to really lengthen it is maybe just actually lengthen the MIDI, right? So the chord itself. And we might even transpose it. Like we might take this guy and make it, you know, for 3 counts instead of 2 counts or 4 counts, like the full vibe. And then you could really hear that envelope opening and closing. Right, so that's a very, very easy way to do it. If you want to accentuate it, you can of course go into the retro synth and use the EQ here and the filter and the envelope and like bring this up and resonate it more, right? So you can actually like resonate the filter. So it sounds like this. Right? That's one way of doing it. Another way of doing it is, hey, I don't really like that filter. You know, it sounds too old school and 80s. All right, fine. So then you could use an EQ. You could go in here, and instead of having this EQ boost on the side, let's just take this filter here, and we'll sweep it so that it has an automation where it automates the filter sweep. That's really, really easy to do. So what you want to do is you want to turn that filter on, which is the top filter. You want to hit A on the channel, the track that has the EQ on it. You want to go to the volume where it says volume. That's going to show you where the automation parameter is that you're trying to affect. Of course, it's channel EQ 2, so it's the second one in the inserts. And then you're just going to go to the top peak, right? So this guy here, which is going to be, actually, I don't think it's that. That's a peak filter. So we want to go to the high shelf, low shelf. So we're going to go to the high shelf or the high cut. Yeah, right here. So high cut. So high cut frequency, we're going to go to that. And that's the high cut frequency right there. That's the high cut frequency filter, low cut frequency filter. Now we can literally just draw in a shape, right? So come in here, click, and you'll see where it comes in. And say that starts at 95. See how it says 95, 50 hertz? Now you could just put 2 dots here. And I usually put a third just so I don't have that automation stuck if I want to do this again. And then I'll just take this down, right? Like I might take it down to 100 hertz or something, right? And then move this guy out so it doesn't go open up right away again. And then you could even bend this. So if you hit escape, you can use your automation curve tool and you could do all sorts of curves here, right? So you could do that, you could do that, you could do S shapes, you could do crazy stuff, right? And just kind of like mess around with the shape of the filter. So maybe you want to do like a nice bend, like where it kind of filters down at the end, towards the end more. So it stays open and then, right? Really cool, kind of a record stop vibe. So let's hear that. So there you go. So that's another way to filter stuff, right? So let's just take this back to like a linear kind of filter. And let's go back to our selection tool. And I'm just going to bring this like up to 20. And I'm going to bring this guy way back here so we don't hear it opening up again. So I love that because that kind of feels like it's like ramping back up, and then it hits the drums again. I think that's cool. So let's keep it like that for now. It's fine. And let's start to let's finish up our arrangement here. So now we got verse 2. I'm gonna hit A again so I can turn off the automation lanes. And we're gonna go into verse 2, and then we have the same pre-chorus. But now with verse 2, I want to kind of switch it up a little bit, right? Maybe I want to bring in, maybe these guys don't come in until verse 2. And maybe I just keep this kind of different hi-hat pattern kind of thing happening in verse 1. Maybe verse 1 doesn't have any hi-hats until the second half, right? So we save this stuff. You don't always have to add. Sometimes it's just subtract, right? And that can be really just as effective as adding later, right? So here's what this verse would sound like. Verse 1.
Go on, don't make you want it in the burns to love. Go on, make you dancing for you made in love. One time.
And actually, I don't like these hi-hats here. Maybe we save those fast hi-hats for this second pre-chorus because I kind of feel like the vocals doing the da-da-da-da-da-da, it's already got a lot of rhythm in it. So let's try this. Okay, so I like it a lot better without the drums because the chord is the anticipation. The drums are just kind of clogging that anticipation up. So if I do anything with these drums, I think it would just be on like the last hit, like maybe on the 1 even, on the downbeat. So we'd take these guys, right, and just have it hit with that kind of open hat vibe that's happening. So we'll do that, chop, unmute, M. Beautiful, right? So now I think a really cool idea would be for verse 2, just to pick it up a little bit more, is we add maybe like a little arp, something that's like going boom, bing, boom, 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 you know, something that's like moving a little bit more. We have the hi-hats, and we don't have the hi-hats in verse 1 anymore, which adds quite a bit. And then also just sauce up the drums a little bit more, right? So maybe like the clap has like a bell or something that's stacked on it, like a triangle. I love stacking triangles on top of snares. That's like a classic old school kind of sound, right? Very disco. So let's try that out. So let's go in here, and you have this rock kit, and we'll just literally option drag the MIDI from the rock kit. We'll go to this neon kit, and we'll find a triangle in it. And I'm sure there's already one in here. Either that or like a ride or something. Yeah, that block is perfect. So I don't want to have like another syncopated rhythm going. I literally just want to add this block as a snare layer, right? So let's just pop that in as a snare layer. Really, really subtle, but it's different, and the ear's gonna hear that. So now let's also layer in, let's duplicate this, and let's go to neon, and let's see what else we got for some producer packs. So for producer packs, you got the electronic drum kits. Let's go to like a 707. This would be beautiful, or even a 909 kind of feel. And we want to find just like a perk, like something we could stack the snare with. And I'm thinking more high, like high kind of vibe. Lo-fi funk sounds cool too. Let's hit that. See, there's so many packs and so many great sounds in here. Like I don't know. You could literally just do this all with stock plugins. Ooh. I love these shitty sounds. That's a really cool snare. I love that. All right, so let's hit this snare on the layer. Awesome. So just a little bit of difference. Like it makes a really big difference to the ear and keeps people going, oh, that's interesting. Now let's add a little ARP here, because I think an ARP is going to really be something that'll kind of help this move a little bit more. Go software instrument. We'll go back down to the Logic stuff. Obviously, that's what we're doing. And go to the vintage synth here. Where is it? Retro synth. All right, so retro synth, and we're going to find a cool ARP. Yeah, sequenced elements. So let's just kind of check some of these out. Okay, so here's what you want to do. You want to turn on the sequenced elements, and you want to find something that sounds cool. I think it's probably going to need to be filtered a little bit, and I feel like it needs to be kind of like really analog sounding and warm and bubbly, right? So the MIDI effects, we're going to turn the arpeggiator on, because that's the key, right? We're going to turn this up and down, or this back and forth. Both of these are really, really cool. And then we can just go to like an eighth note or whatever you want to do. It's really up to you. And we'll turn on the pattern so that we have like a pattern of like, I don't know. We'll just try some stuff. I don't know why I can't draw in on the pattern. I think I gotta, there you go. So grid it, and then we'll just go like kind of a one every other thing sort of thing. So it's do 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 do, right? Do 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 do. That's kind of what I'm hearing in my head. So this can easily just be 4 bars, and then you can also use the factory presets. There's some really great ones in here, and then you can also go to options and do note length and all this stuff. Swing it, crazy stuff in here, amazing stuff. Octave variations. But for now, we're just going to take these chords that we already have, because this is pop music. Remember, we're not trying to reinvent the wheel here. We don't need to all of a sudden introduce all this all new harmonic structure, right? People are not going to like that. Your listener's going to be like, what the hell? Listeners trying to hear the story. They're trying to hear like, what's this about? So now with this guy, let's bring it down to the analog pluck. Let's put it on the 1 now, right? Bam. And then we want to bar these out. You can also use key commands. So if you go Command A, and then my key command for this is Note Force Legato is Control Option Command F. And then that's going to say, hey, do you want to shorten, delete, or keep? I just usually say keep. And then that's going to butt them all against each other, right? And then if you want to set these all at the same velocity, Command A, I have as my command tool, my command click tool, velocity tool. So if I hold down Command, I get that tool. You can see it turns into a V. And then Option is going to do to all. So I'm going to grab all of them, and I'm going to go all the way down and all the way back up. And I'm just going to find a good velocity. So right around like 100 to 110, right? Now with the retro synth, we want to make this warm, remember? So we're going to look for a really warm sounding pluck. I mean, that sounds pretty damn cool, right? And it's kind of groovy, but it's not groovy enough. Not for me. So let's go into the ARP and let's mess around with the swing. Let's mess around with the note length, and we'll try to get this to just swing a little bit better. We might use a delay. We might filter it a little bit more. All sorts of cool stuff. Check it out. Pretty dope. Now let's try changing the range. Let's take this an octave down. Now it's clashing too much with the bass line, right? So let's bring it back up. So just simply changing the amplifier envelope, we're going to get more of that whoop, 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 which actually makes it groove a little bit more. It hangs it back on the beat, which is really cool. So now what I want to do is I want to mess around with maybe filtering it a little bit more. So let's use a really cool plugin in here. It's called... I forget what it's called. Let me find it. Specialized. No. It's filter, maybe? Is it under filter? No. Imaging, metering, modulation. It's like the fat filter. Oh, here we go. Fat effects. So this is a really cool vibe. Like you could do so much with this plugin. But yeah, just go into like a rhythmic thing and let's mess around with these. So all I'm doing is messing around with the timbres and the textures and the filters. So these things are like cutting off and they're filtering with modulation. What they're doing is there's like certain peaks in them, like the peak filter here, there's a resonance, the high resonance. That's what makes it whistle. It's what makes it go, it like whistles the filter. Ridiculous. Same thing here, resonance, right? So you're talking about the filter resonance, the Q, the quality, the tightness of the filter. That's all we're doing there. So as we do that, we sort of like peak out certain frequencies. We peak out the frequency of where the filter is at. So you got to be really, really careful and mindful of that as you start messing around with filters. But this is adding a really cool texture to it that I'm really digging. And the last thing I want to do is kind of tuck it into a space, which can easily be done with a reverb, a room verb, anything, right? So we'll go in here and we'll just use chroma verb, simple, right? And we go to a room, we go to a default and just say, hey, I want to put this in a room, or a space, or a synth reverb. There you go. Like they have all this built in. 16th sequencer slapback. That's great. That's exactly what I'm looking for. And then we'll mess around with the dry and the wet and the distance and the decay and all that. All right, now let's fly this last chorus over. And we will pop this guy in. If I hold down shift, I can deselect what I don't want. And I'm just going to go bam. And that's going to be going from the pre-chorus back into the chorus again. And then maybe this one's a double chorus, or maybe it goes chorus and then it goes into a bridge and then it goes into a final chorus. It's really up to you and how you want to arrange your song. But we do want to get this out to about two minutes. This song, I feel like, could be easily like a 2-minute 30, 2-minute 45-second song, and it'd be great. So right now we're at about 2 minutes and 8 seconds with that double chorus. So I definitely think either we can lengthen the verses, and I'll feel that out a little bit, or it needs a bridge really bad. And I think a bridge could actually be really cool, like right around here. So let's just make a placeholder. And I typically do that with bridges, because bridges are something you really got to like kind of finesse a little bit more. So what I'll do is I'll go, okay, I need a placeholder for that arrangement. So let's do the chorus, half a chorus, and then we'll do the bridge here. And then we will do a double chorus to end it off, like kind of the final chorus. So this will get a little bit bigger too. And that'll put us exactly at 2 minutes and 45 seconds. That's great. I love that. So we can mess around with some chords here where we could just literally switch around the arrangement of the chords. And that kind of helps you get ideas for a bridge. So what I do is I'll just option drag this over, and I might just switch the third chord for the first chord, etc. It's a very easy way of making a bridge. It's just like mess around with the chord progression. Just switch it around a little bit. Also, maybe change the chord to maybe it could be that ARP where the ARP really starts to come out, or we open up the filter on the ARP or something like that, right? So let's just stretch this out to the full. What do we got here? Like 7 bars. That's interesting. We don't want that. So I think it's because we have a reprise at the end, a little vibe there. So let's give it one more bar. So we'll go here. Okay, done. Fix that problem. All right, so now let's go here, and this will be kind of like this will be the pause, the same kind of pauses after the chorus here. So we'll kind of fake like we're going to go into another verse or something. We could even use that. I like that idea of using this chord sound, right? Of this like, right? So very simple. What we'll do is we'll just grab the second chord and the third and the fourth chord, right? So we have a 4-chord progression, remember, and we're just going to take this guy and we're going to stretch these guys out. So let's grab all these. Let's note force legato. Let's go to keep and bam. And then remember, we're just going to option velocity these guys, and we're going to hit equals. That's going to put these all together. And then we could hit A and make sure that there's this guy. Yeah, doesn't look like the automation's there anymore. So we could take this automation and we can also drag that, copy it over if we wanted to. I think we're going to leave it just as it is for the bridge here. But we definitely want to copy it to the other reprise. Oh, I guess that is the other reprise. We're going into the bridge. Okay, so, sorry. Thinking out loud here. All right, so now we got this guy going into this guy, and this needs to be moved back over. And now we really have our full arrangement now. We could put this here. It's chorus 1. This is going to go into verse 2. So we'll hit marker here. Verse 2. And that's going to go to pre-chorus 2. All right, so we'll just put pre-chorus 2, and then this is going to go to chorus, which I think this is the second chorus. Yep. Perfect. And then this is going to be the bridge. And we might do something really special with this. We might do some really cool like synth stuff wash it out, have it like do arps and stuff. But it might even just be like an instrumental bridge with like some oohs and like some floating kind of stuff. I think that'd be really fun. And then chorus out here, which very simple, just option drag that over. I'll just say chorus out. And there you go. You got the full bang. That's how you arrange a song. Now, obviously, I'm kind of like, throwing this together pretty quickly and showing you that this is all done with stock plugins, which is, it's quite the feat. It's quite the task to be able to do this. I do have a master bus that I'm mixing and producing into, which is the RM Modern Edgy Master, with just a couple tweaks on, gain structure and everything. And it sounded great. I think it sounds very, very musical. So let's listen from the beginning, and then we could kind of like map out a little bit more. Chorus vocals are all there, just a temp vocal, and bridge here, like what I was going to show you earlier, is you could just chop these up if you wanted to make the bridge a little different. And you could rearrange these chords so that you have a different chord arrangement. Meaning, let's take the third chord, put it there, do the first chord here. You could even color coordinate these where it's like red, white, blue, something like that, right? To give you like 1, 2, 3, 4 chords. But yeah, just listen to this as you rearrange these. So this feels really fast to me with these chords, like doing this. So let's try popping it up on the ARP and see what that sounds like. So it sounds good to me. The chords themselves, what you can do with the chords to make them a little bit different is you can tweak these. For example, this might be an A, right? So it looks like just an A major. Oh, F sharp minor, pretty much an A major, without the E. But you can literally take this and change it to maybe like a suspended chord or something that's a little bit more dramatic. So for example, like here is the chord right here. Right? So that's the chord. But what if you kind of, what if you suspended it? What if you made it a 7th? Or like an add 9, like that. Instead of this. Or what if you just change the chord from an F sharp minor to like an A major 7? That's pretty cool. And it's a little bit more moody, right? So there's just little tweaks that you can do to make this really different. So for example, I'm just gonna mute this and I'll play this chord in because I think it's really cool and it might be a different vibe. Yeah, maybe this goes halftime is how I'm feeling. So this is going to be a 4-chord progression stretched out over 8 bars instead of 4 bars. Or, I'm sorry, 4-chord progression. Yeah, like this is like 4 bar, 4 bar. So maybe we do this much more dramatic, much more like open and swimmy. For this, we also might want to try a different instrument. Let's try going into one of Logic's secrets and fire instruments, Alchemy. One of the best instruments ever to happen for any DAW just as a stock plugin. It's insanely good. So we'll go in here. We'll go to pads. You can even go rhythmic here, and you can have some cool rhythmic stuff. We'll go to analog, and I'll just leave that open. Yeah, and we'll just try some stuff. Really, really cool. And you can move this around this macro, and it's just incredibly beautiful. So let's move this down here, and we will tuck that back in the mix, of course. Check it out. So one thing I want to change is I duplicated the bright strings so that I could take this retro synth and change the LFO filter again to a rate of 2 bars, because now we're at a 2-bar progression, right? So let's do that so we can grow over 2-bar period, not a 1-bar period for the bridge. This is another thing that's just going to help change the bridge and make it different as well. So we got a vibe here, right? So at this point, my song's arranged. I'm just now having to like shape the parts and shape the pieces. And I think this bridge is going to be really cool. Like I'm actually really excited about it. But that is it for this video. And in the next video and in the next part of this challenge, I'm going to be taking this arrangement to the next level, right? Like I really want to add the transition effects and all the things and the chords and the counter melodies and all that stuff. And then we'll get into vocal melodies and vocal lyrics and, you know, textures and all that stuff. And we're going to have, by the end of this, we're going to have a bunch of channel strips that I'm going to give you guys with the Logic Pro producer pack. And you'll have everything you need to just do this with stock plugins. And there's incredible stock plugins, so you're very lucky to have this. All right, till next time.